Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Temitope Akomolafe, and I'll be your host today, presenting my final project, Information Project Management Project Success, for fall 2023. Today is December the 10th, 2023. Um, and I will For our agenda today, we'll go ahead and start with the introductions and then progress by identifying all of my topics. The first topic we'll go over is project management, and then we'll talk about change management. We'll talk about phases of a project, and then I will end with project organization. All right, let me go ahead and get started. Um, Project management. I will start with defining what project management is. And based on definition from PMI, project management is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirement. Another definition that I also found interesting was project management is a specific knowledge, skill, tools, and techniques to deliver something of value to people. Um, the intention for project management is to ensure that the solution is designed and developed and delivered effectively. And focus of project management is to have tasks and activities required to create and implement the technical solutions associated with change. Some processes that we have in place for project management includes stakeholder performance, team performance, development lifecycle, planning, project work, delivery, measurement, and uncertainty. There are some tools that we use for project management, and some of them include, and there's some of there are things that we've learned over the course of the 11 weeks that we've been in this class, and they include Project Chatter, SOW, which is a statement of work, work breakdown structures, schedules, budget, resource allocation, and tracking. Which brings me to my first question. And this is how we're going to go ahead and start this roundtable today. My first question is, what IT projects have you worked on in the past, and what are some tools you think were important to the success of that project?
Hi, Tammy. This is Karisha. So I've recently just finished a EHR implementation project, and I would say that the tools that are very important and useful to me are the Gantt chart and having a regular email and group meetings or team meetings with my coworkers and the stakeholders. So Gantt charts shows you the breakdown, the details of the things that needs to be done, what are the milestones, and uh, what timeline should it be completed. So those are very important because it helps me stay on track. And then the regular team meetings, it helps me stay on track with everyone and helps me, if I have questions, I can easily ask them through regular meetings. So those are the tools that are very helpful to me.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Shaquille, and for me in the software industry, we use Jira to help uh, us track our tickets and understand what our requirements are, and that way we can prevent scope creep and not have new tickets added when they're not delegated to be done just yet. To and that helps us stay successful and not keep adding new tasking every time.
Thank you so much. Anybody else?
Uh, I have one as a intern for my government contractor as an analyst before I became a manager. Uh, there were different breakdowns that I had to redesign and confront with other interns and then move it on to my other managers and my supervisors to pinpoint on how to digest and formulate how it could be replenished and reticulate on how it could be resolved.
Thank you, Nikos.
Well,
I'm going to go ahead and continue my presentation. At this point, I'm going to be talking about change management. Change management is the application of a structured process and tools for leading the people's side of change to achieve a desired outcome on a project. Project management and change management, they sort of like work hand in hand, and it's very crucial that even while working on project management, you still are able to decipher the difference between project management and change management, as they are both an ingredient to successful change. Although they vary in terms and in focus, each of the disciplines are essential to moving a project forward, and for helping people that are working on this project to have a desired outcome. In terms of change management, so this usually would ensure that impacted employees adopt the solution associated with the change. So once the change is made, we want to ensure that those who are involved are actually doing what they're supposed to do, and working with the whatever change was made within the project. What's the focus of change management? Employees and stakeholders, those who must adopt the change, is why we have that change management. We want those who are stakeholders, employees, anyone that's going to be affected by this change to adopt the change. What are some processes in place when we think about change management? You prepare the approach, you manage the change, and then you sustain the outcome. So like I mentioned earlier, you have that approach that you want to make this change, you go ahead and implement that change, and then we want to ensure that everyone who's impacted by this change is adopting the change. Some tools that are in place for change management includes training plan, sponsor plan, risk assessment, and impact assessment. There are 5 dimensions of integrating change management and project management, and that includes people, processes, tools, methodologies, risk, and outcome, which brings me to my next question in this roundtable. Thinking about change in a project, how does people, processes, tools, methodology affect change in a project? How can making changes go wrong in a project? Anyone, please?
Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, I can speak from an experience about making a change and then it caused something wrong on the project. So I think it was one of our analysts. One of the super user asked for a process change. However, it wasn't communicated to the rest of the other hospitals that hey, a change is coming. So it was migrated to production, and then the next day, all of a sudden, everyone was complaining and everyone was putting in a ticket because they were very worried, like, hey, something has changed, but no one was informed about it. So I think that's one way that project managers should be aware of, that when we're making any changes in the system, no matter how big or small, a communication should be sent out so that everyone can be informed. And also, the timing is important. You should give them ample time, like let's say give them 3 days before you implement a change, so that everyone is on board and it won't cause any problems to the users.
Thank you so much. That was very very good. Thank you. Anybody else?
So for people, we recently had on our team a management change, and the new management came in and wasn't too keen on the languages we were using for our project and decided to go a different direction, which has now caused the project to slow down quite a bit and is having a negative impact on our release schedule. So it really does change the methodology even from the people process, because now we have to try to learn something new and appease a new personnel who we didn't have to report to previously.
Thank you so much, Shaq. Is there anybody else that would like to add anything? Okay, all right, let me go ahead and move on. Thank you. So my next topic is on project phase. The definition for project phase is a project phase is an assembly of related tasks with an easily delineated start and finish. Additionally, phases are usually consecutive, meaning that one has to start before the next before the other ones can begin. There are 4 phases in a project. We have the initiation phase, the planning phase, the execution phase, and the closeout phase. With the initiation phase, this includes the project kickoff meeting, identification of project teams, resource planning, project plan, and then maybe the project management infrastructure and how the project will be managed from beginning to the end. So that'll be like the initiation phase. During the planning stage, you have the organization and the preparing of any type of detailed schedules, budgets, whatever timeline you have will be in the planning phase. In the execution phase, you have any major activities needed to accomplish the work of the project. And this is where the work is carried out mainly. During the closeout phase, these represent the final stage of the project. Project staffs are transferred off of the project, and you have a documentation of what was achieved during the time of the project. This is the end of your project. Which brings me to my next question, which is, which of the project phases is the most important and why, in your opinion?
I would say the planning phase is the most important. And that is because you need to get all the details correct before you even start making the project, making the actual parts of the project. And if you don't properly capture everything in the planning phase, then you're going to start having scope creep happen to your project, and that is going to cause problems for you down the line.
Thank you, Chris. Is there anybody else that'd like to add something about project phases?
Well, I would like to just add something. The most important project phase can vary depending on the project and its context. But the project planning is often considered crucial as it sets the foundation for the entire project, ensuring clear goals, scope, and resources. So I think, yeah, project planning phase is the most important.
Thank you. I agree. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. So my final topic is on project organization. Every project is organized to accomplish the work effectively and efficiently. And there are several factors influence that the organizational approach to execute a project. Here are some functions in a project. You have the project sponsor, the project manager, project controls, procurements, technical management, quality, and administration. Typically, the project sponsor is going to be there for providing the information about the project. They provide the resources and the outcome barriers for that project. The project manager is going to be the facilitator of the project. And they're going to facilitate this from start to finish. Controls are there to sort of like track the project from the beginning of its life cycle till the very end. And they typically involve estimation, tracking costs, planning and schedule, managing change, tracking the progress against the schedule. In terms of procurement, you're looking at like purchasing supplies and equipment needed for the project, and to ensure that that everything you need is provided. Technical management involves the management of technology in the project. So whatever technology the team is going to need, and how to manage that, that's going to be done by the technical management. And then in terms of like quality, this involves like everybody on the team, like including the stakeholders, right? Getting that project from start to finish and ensuring that like once the project is at the finish, like you're getting like the best out of the project. In terms of administration, typically we look to HR when we think about like administration, but that is not always the case. It's just who does this project manager report to? Like what are some of the goals that need to be achieved? Anything that has to do with administration, typically they look to HR. I have an image of a way that a project manager would look at the organization structure of like a project and those who are involved in it. And you, as you can see, that the project manager is at the top, and then they have like other people like the engineering manager, the procurement manager, project controls, and administration. So like any type of like legal issues, human resources, accounting, all of that would be under administration. Your project controls involves like the planning, estimation, and the cost. And then in terms of like procurement, this is logistics, contracts, anything that has to do with like purchases during the project life cycle. And then for the engineering manager, this will include, it could include like different managers from like different aspects of that project. Maybe if there's an engineer in a different state or the different country, all of that would be listed on that. And this is how like a project manager would organize the stuff in order to ensure that the project is successful. And which brings me to my final question. Which project function is the most important in a project organization and why? Anyone?
I think the project manager will play a pivotal role or crucial in any project organization because the project manager will be overseeing everything and filtering everything like changes that are being submitted and managing scopes and then being able to communicate that to all the stakeholders.
Thank you. Anybody else like to pitch in? Okay. Well, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Are there any questions or concerns? Okay, and I have my references at the end. I do want to thank everybody for joining me today to help me with my presentation. Thank you so much.